welcome to another of our Kyte Perspectives. Today I have with me Radha Krishnadati from Kyte Consulting. Hi Radha, we're pleased to have you on board today. Can you maybe introduce yourself, give some people some background?
Thanks, Peter. Good afternoon. Uh, I am a CX solution architect working with Kyte. Before joining Kyte, I spent some time with Deloitte and Oracle, primarily focusing on Oracle CX area. As a CX solution architect, I primarily focus on reviewing the business requirements from an end-to-end solution point of view to propose CX components and integration touch points. I myself have involved in various CX projects implementation that includes majority CX components, customizations, data migrations, and integrations.
Cool. So today's subject is all around right now the service offering from Oracle and the migration to Fusion. Now, many people may have visited Las Vegas if you were lucky enough to get tickets to Cloud World, Oracle's premier product conference. Many of us have just watched on video, but one message certainly came through, reiterated again and again. The future of Oracle is Fusion. Oracle Rob Tarkoff, the Vice Principal of CX Advertising and CX Apps, last week announced that Oracle were finally in a position where they can say that the four CX platforms that they've been procuring over the years are now ready to be consolidated in Fusion, and
Yes.
that they now offer a unified solution. Let's have a look at kind of, and if you can just talk to this, what does this really mean, moving from
Yeah.
the kind of individual apps to Fusion?
Yeah. Uh, exactly, Peter. Like you mentioned, and also this was highlighted in Oracle Cloud sessions. Also, the customers are looking forward to have the CX apps unified with this Fusion stack. uh, as part of this, what essentially is happening is unifying the customer data, and having these front end applications, marketing, sales, and service, talking to the back end applications, so that they understand the processes, the business processes, data, and applications, and not only. Connecting back to the backend applications. It's also building those business processes to provide that end-to-end
Mhm.
solution for various industries like financial institutions, utilities, and public sector, like we see here. So this is a unified solution combining front-end applications and back-end applications to come up with those uh, end-to-end solution.
Yeah.
That way the customer is seeing a unique experience, and that keeps them uh, a step ahead with competitors.
And as we know, Fusion is the combination of Oracle infrastructure, Oracle platforms, and Oracle applications working seamlessly together, fully integrated, and really strong combined. And we know as a fact that this Fusion has been around for a long time. Fusion has been a primary source of development for Oracle, and this is certainly where the future is going to be going with Oracle. Um,
Exactly.
from a perspective as Kyte Consulting, we've obviously seen this vision of everything moving into Fusion for quite some while. So we've been looking at how we can bolt together a framework around the migration from platforms like right now into the Fusion environment that is ultimately the future. And we want to start off with a little bit of myth busting, because whenever somebody mentions a new platform and a migration, obviously organizations have a bit of a knee jerk reaction with reasons why they don't want to do this.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
Radha and myself put our heads together and
mhm.
came up with what we think are the primary challenges. Radha, business stakeholders.
Thanks. Yes, certainly. So what we are looking is a business to some of a pushback happening coming up. We have an application that's fully working, and why do we need to change something that's already works fine? But in reality, when something works, that doesn't mean it is 100% working as expected, and the sales team has the required data for them to complete the and close those sales deals, and the service agent has the required data to complete or the close case when the agent is on field. So and also there are some of those ongoing pain points which are continue to occur, and businesses using the application. So there are some ongoing issues with the application, but however,
Mhm.
it may not be fully functional as expected, and there are some wish lists from the business possibility. There are some wish lists from business users which they want to include. So this gives an opportunity to include them in the new
Yeah.
platform.
I mean, I
Hmm.
guess organizations think if it's not broke, why would we invest money in it? But to your point,
Yes.
platforms are there. Generally, there will be pain points, and it may be a very interesting thing to bring up. Transfer of data between
Yeah.
different platforms, which cause overheads on resources, or don't work exactly as people would like them
Yeah.
to do. Instead, they've kind of worked around that pain point, and it's
Yeah.
never really been addressed because the rest of the platform does work to a certain extent how they want to do it. The next point we want to
Yeah.
touch on is additional user training. Now, that's one area where
Hmm.
I always I feel that's definitely an area where organizations worry slightly that somehow change, not only for the business but change for individuals, is something that's very difficult to overcome.
Y- uh, Agree and understandable. In standard application enhancement, it is expected to have a certain amount of user training involved. But in a major migrations like moving from right now platform to Fusion service, you would expect some amount of training required. But however, what Oracle is trying to do is come up with a unified user interface using that Redwood design, and standardizing the user interface across the Fusion platform so that the end user sees the same experience, feels same experience across the platforms, and that way it makes more simpler. But it is not only change migrating to new platform, but from functionality point of view, it is still same. It is
Yeah.
moving from right now
Ultimately,
to the fusion stack. Mm,
absolutely, absolutely. Ultimately,
mm,
while there'll be minor training for people to get used to, where to actually click a button or which buttons make things happen, we're not discussing a process change. This is to be applied
no.
to the way the business is running, and that really reduces the amount of user training.
Yeah,
Another
yeah,
final, we have discussed this several times. Another thing around a lot of implementations, particularly around service and that sales area, is the amount of custom functionality. Each individual client effectively gets built such a variation on platform that it becomes indistinguishable where the customization begins and where the actual platform ends. But with Fusion, is this going to form a problem, or is this being addressed with Fusion?
to an extent, it is in fact addressed with the fusion solution by some of those integrations, the custom integrations implemented with the backend systems. Now, now they are made more even and easier and simpler to establish. Now that the service platform is part of the fusion service, having this inbuilt connection to the backend system, some of those integrations will become absolute. However, we would also see some of the functionality that is implemented to access the data that is needed for sales team or service team, that is no longer need to do explicitly. And these are the things changes uh, maybe not required. Redo some of those custom functionalities in the new platform.
And that's great. If you can reduce custom functionality, customization, then you obviously remove an overhead during maintenance and the management of that customization. Anything we can do to reduce that by relying more on functionality available within Fusion is going to make life certainly a lot easier for IT. So flipping this round now, what are the benefits from moving into the Fusion ecosphere that Oracle is predicting everybody should be in?
Yeah. So one of the major ones that we could see is an operational alignment, is meaning bringing all your applications, the backend and the front end applications into single OCI platform. That helps you with in terms of the security management and maintenances, upgrades. This is a schedule. We don't want to have a situation. Uh, the agent is working on field, but however, uh, there is a supply chain management application is on downtime and scheduled maintenance, which would definitely have an impact on the business process. So to avoid that, now that all the platforms are in a single OCI framework, it maintains and follows consistent and single schedule maintenance, and that
Yeah.
would enable the business operational element.
And I think the key thing here that Oracle certainly in their presentations really tried to emphasize was the integration between that back office stack, the ERPs, the HCMs, and the CX. I mean, the data that is being generated through those back office systems can make salespeople, can make service
Yeah,
desks much more efficient and much more benefit. Plus, this is the area of development. Like I said earlier on, I think Fusion is the future for Oracle, and that's where we're going to see more skilled developers, people with a larger skill set for integrations for development of the platforms, utilizing that Fusion cloud or that Fusion cloud stack.
agree.
Cool. So I'm sold. You've told me on the benefits. I'm ready to make the move. What if you could take us through? Really, we've gone through and developed a framework. I'd just like you to step us through. What do we recommend the best way to start thinking about moving from right now to the Fusion environment?
That's wonderful, Peter. So this is the next stage. Once um, we consider moving to the Fusion service platform. So essentially, this could we could separate them into two stages, which is a pre-implementation assessment and then implementation. So what we do as part of the pre-implementation is a bit of an assessment of the current system configuration, feasibility assessment, then business assessment to review any of the pain points, like I mentioned earlier, which is and also any enhancement that the wish list will be the business as well as performing the new platform, the Fusion service platform showcase to the business and to see the feedback and scope definition from a pre-implementation. That is the final step. Essentially, look at what we have done on assessment, run through that with a business, finalizing those requirements and coming with a schedule. So this is more of a pre-assessment, and the next one is following the standard project development lifecycle that includes implementation of the new platform.
Mhm. And I think actually what we're talking about, Vinid's just made a comment from his perspective. The biggest challenge is probably flowing on from our earlier slides is additional investment. Indeed, companies they need to invest in this. How well the transition is managed, business continuity, and that's one of the key reasons why we've started looking into this implementation, this migration framework from Kyte's perspective, because people do want to know that when they go and make this decision that it is going to be managed correctly, it's going to be managed in an efficient way. The third point I think is really good as well. Do they really need the additional functionalities? And whilst we'll dig a little deeper into this, really this pre-implementation assessment that you're discussing here in this slide is really diving down into those additional functionalities. So we'll just move on and look into those pre-implementation tasks and what we're actually looking at when we're considering what consists your current right now platform.
Exactly. So what the first step in doing this migration activity is to review the current pre-implementation, review the current platform customization. So primarily the areas is edge and desktop is to review what's being configured, what are the different objects, what are the customization done for each of those objects, incident management, guided assistant, SLAs, and so on. Review the current configuration for edge and desktop, and similarly look at the customer portal to understand customer portal is a set of application for customers to use and access their data, understand what is being implemented there in terms of the knowledge module, in terms of what sort of data is currently presented for customer, um, chat functionalities, and so on. And similarly, the other important item is from a data objects point of view. Review what are the data objects currently in use, what is the amount of data, and that is needed in the new platform. Integrations is another point, is to understand the currently service cloud is connecting to which different applications and systems. And obviously, this is going to get a lot easier on the new Fusion framework. And also living with the pain points, some of the challenges that the end users are facing, and
Yep.
enhancement some of the wish list from the business. So
So
this
really,
is a combination of, yeah.
So it's,
Yep.
I was just going to say, really looking at the platform, looking at what's configured, and then seeing what works, what doesn't work. More importantly, those pain points, and how we
Yes.
can improve on that. And how do we do this? Business workshops, and yeah, if you could talk us through, because we're putting together this, how are we going to approach the pre-assessment?
So what we have done from a pre-implementation point of view so far is assess the current system configuration, look on the different functional areas like agent desktop and customer portal data entities and integrations. Now put together, showcase this back to the business, present them back to it, back to business, and review them and understand uh, the two things here. One is from a new Fusion stock point of view. Some of the functionalities may become obsolete on the new platform. We could review that and also run through this findings with the business and identify what is needed on the new platform, and also include any of the pain points, address them, and include the additional enhancements. So overall, what we are coming from is a set of business requirements that is needed on the new platform. It's essentially documenting those business requirements and coming up with the implementation roadmap. Um, Implementation roadmap is essentially to look
Hmm.
um, how the timelines for the completion of this implementation.
Yeah,
For this is from a
absolutely.
current system configuration.
Yes, yes,
Uh,
absolutely,
uh,
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. So this is taking and review, and once the review is completed, we've actually got a direction that we can take this in, and an implementation. And Fusion Service implementation, I mean, the terms that we're about to start using will be familiar to everybody who's actually undertaken any large cloud implementation. The implementation So the implementation process is effectively based on Oracle's True Cloud method. So by taking the elements, build, platform configuration, the integrations with data migrations, ultimately validating the data, validating the platform, training people, and then flowing into enablement and aftercare are all familiar concepts that most people have actually been into. What I'd like to ask you, Rad, if we can just dive into a couple of them. What's involved ultimately when we get to the platform configuration? What are we really looking at when we say platform configuration with right now or Fusion in this case?
field service. Yeah. So primarily, if you look at it, we have two major functional areas uh, from a service platform point of view. Is agent desktop is where the service agent is going to interact with the customer using various channels like email, mail, phone, and so on. So as part of this, what we are going to do is essentially configure some of the service specific functionalities such as incident management, SLS configuration, guided assistance, like I mentioned, configuring those visibilities, set of navigation screens that the end user need to have access to, and also building some custom functionality around um, workflows, workflow rules, custom functional chat, another functionality to
Yeah.
have that interaction with the customer. And in majority of the cases, we do have a CTA integration also. So essentially, what we're looking from an agent desktop point of view, or agent of desktop application point of view, so these are the few items. And then the self-serve application customer portal is another platform will be doing the configuration in addition. So this on this platform we'll look at some of the areas like the knowledge management, what sort of data the customer can see, what access they do
Hmm.
have in terms of their the having the 360-degree view around the complete history of their interactions with the
Yeah, and
customer. Yeah.
it looks easy when you see just agent desktop and customer portal. There's two primary areas that need configuration, but then as you demonstrated, as you start listing out the individual components that a service agent actually just needs to be able to run their job, from the ticketing system to access to knowledge base, and to everything that's involved, even down to AI and machine learning support and assistance for those people. Then you actually start digging into a really, really complex background of things, even though, as we demonstrate on screen here, at the top level, it looks relatively simple. Obviously, The agent desktop and the customer portal are like every platform, or like every CX platform, are really driven by data. And that's a real prerequisite. And data will need to be migrated from one area to another. So if just take us through some of the concepts on how that data migration is actually going to be achieved.
Exactly, Peter. So this is where after the migration to the new platform, for the agent to have that access to the data that they used to have, continue to have that access. So what we gonna do is moving the data from the current platform, right? So as part of the pre-implementation assessment, we have reviewed the data, the count of the data, and what data is really required in the new platform. So as part of this exercise, we're gonna move that data into new platform. So some of the entities, just to highlight, we're talking about, the contacts, the customers, organizations, the knowledge management, the answers, and as well as incidents that were already whole platform. Please note that we could be excluding some of the data based on the business requirements that is will be taken into the new platform. And if you look at if you have to separate this into multiple steps in data migration process, this one is the extraction, that is taking the data out from the current right now platform, and then move the next step is the data preparation. Data preparation is essentially reviewing the data, what is needed, what are the, if there are any data constraints on the new platforms, populating those backend values for lookups and etc. and any required tools. This is essentially from a new platform point of view, preparing the data,
Hmm.
right? And what Fusion Service gives us is the final step is loading them into a new platform, so that it gives us a streamlined UI process to access those comma delimited flat files or any other recognized delimited files that use them and load them into new platform. And that also gives you flexibility to check the progress, how many requests were loaded, how many failed.
Yeah.
So you have that monitoring capability as well.
Indeed. And Oracle are obviously, I mean, Oracle are founded on database. At the end of the day, Oracle have the tools and the process and the platforms part of Fusion. I'm sure they're including with some assistance to help us do that migration through the integrations available to us.
Right. Wonderful. Yes. So this is what we are looking at is the next step. What we have done is so far, we have completed the customized configuration of agent desktop platform, the customer self-serve portal. The data is now moved, and to have that continuous data sync with other systems, the next point is to do that integration. So as part of the initial assessment, pre-implementation assessment, we have made a note of the integration touch points. So essentially, the next step is to do the re-establishing those integrations. Yeah, some of those integrations may be absolute with the Fusion stack, but however, the next step is to implement those integrations with Fusion service. And that is the first the top image we're just looking at. And the one below is making use of Oracle Integration Cloud product.
Yes.
So this component is a very powerful one that you could use to connect Oracle Cloud with other third-party systems. So essentially, Oracle Integration Cloud comes with various cloud offering adapters to connect to all Oracle applications, cloud applications, external cloud applications. It also provides REST and SOAP capabilities. We we don't have a connection, pre-default adapter. You could use those endpoints, and similarly, it can connect to the database also. And what I'm showing you here is an example of a cloud Oracle Fusion connecting to a third-party application using those inbuilt Fusion service adapters and
Yeah.
Oracle Cloud offering adapters.
So Oracle Integration Cloud ultimately is the Swiss Army knife of data connectivity. It can be adapted to anything it can be run in. But surely there are areas or there are instances where one particular data migration or method of connecting platforms will have a best case, if you will. It's best used in certain things, and you pull together some examples for me.
Yes, Peter. So that's what we have in here in the table. What it does show you is depending on the requirements in the scenarios, what is the best integration method that suits you. So to start with, what you're looking at is initial data migration. So one of the best approaches. So what we have considered is, should we use Oracle Integration Cloud? Should we use a point-to-point integration? Or we could use the native file import and export functionality within Fusion Service. So essentially, what we're looking is initial data migration example. So the best approach is to use the file import and export approach within Fusion Service. And the next example, next scenario is incremental data. So this is like constant data updates happening in external system. We want to have that the real-time data sync happening with Fusion Service. All three approaches are feasible: OIC, point-to-point, file import. But however, where it differs with this multiple requirements, what we're looking at is what is our the core requirement. Do we need to have that real-time data in sync? Do we need that monitoring capability? Do we need that schedule processing capability? So various things we consider, and then we could come with the best integration method that works for the
Cool. So we
requirement.
have a question from Vinit. Sorry to interrupt you, Radha. I'm trying to avoid this. Vinit says, from my experience with Oracle CX Suite, integration has always been a challenge. And actually, last week, Rob Tarkoff, VP of CX Advertising and Apps, started by saying that yes, integrations have traditionally been very difficult, and that's been a constant challenge for customers. But that's one of the reasons why this unified Fusion environment is to actually bring some relief to people who have currently experienced the difficulties merging data. He also asked the second question. We have clouds from Oracle, Salesforce, and Adobe. Um, how well it integrates with these platforms and how easy it is. As we can see from the slide above, there are multiple ways of connecting data, anything from flat file to point-to-point integrations to utilizing something like Oracle Integration Cloud. With understanding of the data that is there and understanding the data that is required and how it maps between these different platforms, it is maybe challenging to actually get to that point in that mapping, but the actual development, and rather please jump in if I'm throwing you under the proverbial bus here, but the development is relatively easy once we understand what needs to be achieved.
Agree with you, Peter. That is true.
Cool. Thank you for your time. I'd just like to wind up very briefly to say where's Kyte's position in this? Kyte has, as I mentioned, we'd actually seen that the fusion was the future of Oracle, and that's the direction that we're going. So we started pulling together a strategy first, our lift and shift approach, which was kind of introduced in our implementation method. And what we'd like to offer to organizations who may be thinking, what is the feasibility? What would be involved in making that service change from utilizing right now into the um, future protected version of Fusion itself, Cloud Fusion, then how do we even define whether or not it's a business a possibility, or how we can actually plan and start that planning, that workshopping? And reviewing your current existing platform, what would be required for a lift and shift, the dependencies, the timeline, and any high level considerations. Kyte are offering a free assessment to run workshops and do that feasibility assessment alongside you as a customer to really determine, is this the right time? Is it the right platform? Um, but so that if anybody would be interested in this, if everybody does have would like to reach out to us and continue this discussion moving forward, then please do reach out to me. Thank you very much, Rada, for your time today. Thank you, everybody, for watching. It's great. Do hope you join us in a week's time when Oracle Field Services will be the item for discussion, and I believe we'll be handing back over to Anita. Thank you, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Peter.